You sack of wine. You're an inanimate fucking object!
Stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Is that your nose or did a bus park on your face?
If I had a dick, this is where I tell you to suck it.
Deep Blue Sea. 2 words. Fuck yeah. Guys, welcome to my 3rd episode of roasting movies. I've done 2 of these in the past. One for the Super Mario Brothers movie, another for the James Bond movie, Die Another Day. I am here because it is Shark Week. I said I was probably going to have 1 or 2 reviews for Shark Week. One of those was Jaws 2, which is up now on my channel. The other one I decided to do in roasting movies form, similar to Chris Stuckman's Hilariosities. That's the inspiration behind the segment on this channel. And I figured I would do that with 1998's Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea was directed by Renny Harlin, who hadn't had a hit since Cliffhanger in '93. And it stars a plethora of people like Saffron, Burrows, Thomas Jane, LL Cool J, Stellan Skarsgård, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Rappaport. This movie is the quintessential movie for me. This came out in the 90s. It acts as a 90s action movie. I love Deep Blue Sea, but I love it in that it's bad, it's terrible way. It's like I do with every other 90s action movie that came out. Just about all of them anyway. So I'll let you guys in on a little secret. There's something that scared me when I was little, and it's also the cover of the Blu-ray, but it was the cover of the VHS for Deep Blue Sea, because look at this thing. There's a giant shark, and Saffron Burrows is in the middle of the water, and it looks like she's gonna get eaten. I remember walking in to my local video store when I was little, Main Dunstable Video, and I remember being traumatized by 2 things when I was little. One was when the birds took Hopper in A Bug's Life to the little chicks to eat Hopper. That traumatized me forever. I have not watched A Bug's Life since. Refuse to. That still scares me. It's traumatizing. The other thing that traumatized me when I was little was walking into my local video store and seeing the VHS for Deep Blue Sea with this exact cover, because it looked like it was the scariest movie ever made. I was about 5 or 6 at the time. I'd always just be walking down the aisle and be like, oh my god, Deep Blue Sea! I would run away like a maniac because I thought it was the scariest VHS cover I had ever seen, and so I just took off running, and for the longest time I had never seen Deep Blue Sea until I finally watched it for the first time a few years ago, and it is the quintessential 90s action movie. This fits the vein of a 90s action movie. It is an intentionally bad 90s action movie, so let's just cut right to the chase with Deep Blue Sea. Let's just start talking about this thing. This movie opens with a shark attack. There's these 2 couples that are a little bit too horny for each other, and the music is super serious. It opens up as if it's like ripping off Jaws. That's how serious this movie thinks it is. And in all honesty, with a cover like this, you would think this movie would take itself seriously, but this movie thinks it's a lot more serious than it actually is. It plays into a lot of B-movie conventions, and the whole movie just comes off as a cheese fest, and that is so evident in this scene because it is built up to be something suspenseful and serious. But when that shark starts attacking the boat, all hell breaks loose for these 2 couples, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because there's that one couple that just gets startled by the shark, and within 5 seconds after they jump from being startled by the shark, the guy just hits the girl in the pink bikini, and they go flying backwards into the ocean! What is that? Was that an outtake? I have no idea! There's also a wine bottle that falls over in this, kind of representing blood. The wine comes out of the bottle, the wine falls into the ocean. It's almost like it's saying, like, here, this is a metaphor for blood. Now the shark's gonna track the wine and it's gonna attack these people. That's exactly what happens in this, and other than a couple of errors that make you wonder if they're outtakes or goofs or something, it's actually a pretty good scene until Thomas Jane just randomly shoots the shark, and he has the most stoic look on his face. In the next scene, I'm sorry I can't find any clips for it, But in the next scene, we are introduced to Saffron Burrows' character, McAllister. Susan McAllister, which, by the way, I'll talk about the characters in a minute after I talk about the scene, but just so you know, no character in this movie is interesting. Nobody is developed. They are devoid of any human emotions or characterization. They're all just there to be eaten by sharks. That's all they are doing. But it's weird because when you watch this scene, this is where we get our first description of the actual plot, because there's a couple of things wrong with this scene. First of all, we're told what the entire plot of the movie is in this scene. Sure, there's extensions to this plot, but we get the basic idea as to what this movie is about. So what I'm saying is that you really don't have to watch the movie past this part. You could just watch this opening scene that's in weird orange color grading. That's another thing that's wrong with this scene. Everything has an orange tint to it in this scene. I wish I could pull it up. I can't find the clip. Man, but that's another thing that's wrong with this scene. But what you learn in this scene is that Susan McAllister is the lead researcher of this group of scientists who is experimenting on mako sharks in this water rig named Aquatica, which is fucking stupid. That's the dumbest name ever. That's all they could come up with. They're experimenting on mako sharks in order to find a cure for Alzheimer's, because her whole motivation is that she basically wants revenge on this disease because it killed her father. You can't get revenge on a disease, lady. I mean, you can beat a disease, you can't get revenge on it. You can't stop it. So in order to try and cure Alzheimer's, they're gonna take these sharks and genetically enhance their DNA. But that's not really the smartest idea, because these sharks become bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter. Completely makes the research moot. So in this scene, we are also introduced to Samuel L. Jackson, who's the head of this pharmaceutical company. And he goes with Susan McAllister to Aquatica, and we meet a plethora of other characters, like Michael Rappaport's character. We finally meet Thomas Jane's character, but the only thing you learn about him is that he's a shark wrangler. You know nothing else about Thomas Jane. Why should I care about him? Hope he gets eaten by a shark. You meet LL Cool J. He's a cook. You learn nothing else about him. Why should I care about him? Hope he gets eaten by a shark. Michael Rappaport basically comes into frame, talks to Thomas Jane. Their whole dialogue exchange is so cringy because he just says to Thomas Jane, if you need somebody to trust, I'm trustworthy. That's his whole character, I guess. He's trustworthy. I mean, if you say that to me, I'm not going to trust you. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. The movie is a bit calm in these sequences. It's when they capture their first mako shark. We see them capture it. Thomas Jane, as I said, is a shark wrangler, so he wrangles the shark. They bring it onto the main deck of the Aquatica Bay, where they're researching. This is where the movie just goes completely bonkers and it gets so stupid, because all these characters make stupid decisions, like Stellan Skarsgård in this sequence makes the dumbest decision. They have the shark wrangled. Thomas Jane is holding on to it so that they can actually experiment on the shark. Once they start experimenting on the shark, they think they have what they need, and Stellan Skarsgård kneels down next to the shark and it bites off his arm. What a dumbass this guy is. Why would you do that with a genetically enhanced shark right there? You're gonna kneel down right next to a shark. Obviously, it's gonna bite your arm off. You deserve to have that arm bitten off. And it's in these scenes where we actually see how horrible the CGI is. The sharks go back underwater. They're trying to do an airlift with Stellan Skarsgård's character. I can't remember his name. That's how piss poor the character is. They put him in a stretcher. They try and do an airlift because apparently when they're on Aquatica, there's also this hurricane that's gonna hit the water rig. So that's just causing more problems, but that allows the sharks to get into the water rig and try and eat them. So the sharks are swimming around outside. The CGI for 1998, I swear to God, this is when they were still trying to perfect CGI, but it's so noticeable. But here, the shark grabs hold of the stretcher because the stretcher ends up in the water. The shark grabs hold of the stretcher and flings it at the glass. These are the coolest sharks ever.
I get that they're genetically enhanced, but they're the coolest sharks ever! They're the dumbest. Oh my god! Who thought that this was a good idea for a shark movie? Whoever thought that this was like the most serious shark movie ever clearly has never seen Jaws. We also get some scenes with LL Cool J, and the funny thing is that his character has a pet bird. It's a parrot. But when all this shit and the chaos starts happening, and he's wandering around these water-infested hallways with these sharks probably swimming around somewhere, he's more concerned about his fucking bird than he is everybody else. Because he's the cook, he really doesn't have that much to do with the research team. He's just the dude who cooks for them. But he's more concerned about that fucking bird than anybody else. And you know what this bird's name is? His pet parrot. You know what this bird's name is? Bird. He's just going around like, bird, bird, where are you, bird? His bird's name is Bird. His bird's name is Bird. Oh my god. It's like if I ever had a kid and I took him to a park and somebody said that somebody came up to me and told me, "Hey, you have a cute kid. What is your kid's name?" And I told them, "Kid." Naming your bird Bird is like naming your kid Kid. That's how dumb it is. So we get some more LL Cool J scenes. Yeah, in my notes I have a lot of LL Cool J written down. He is literally the MVP of this movie. He is the unsung hero. LL Cool J appears a lot in my notes for this movie, but we have more scenes with LL Cool J because they're the best ones to talk about. So he's in the kitchen. The kitchen is starting to get flooded. One of the sharks swims in. And LL Cool J, his big defense against the shark is to grab a frying pan and try and hit it. What good is that gonna do? These things are genetically enhanced. We've been through this already. They're trying to, they think it's super serious, but it's actually really funny because whoever thinks that hitting a shark with a frying pan will actually send the shark away. These things are genetically enhanced. They're smarter. They're faster. They have a DNA code in them. That's what this movie is conveying to us, but they they don't really hit it over the head. It's just these sharks are in. It's more. This whole thing with the sharks being like genetically enhanced isn't really played up all that much. So now them damn sharks are probably looking for food. So of course they're gonna try and hunt humans. I mean, one shark already bit off Stellan Skarsgård's arm and threw his stretcher at the glass to get in. I mean, that shows how smart the sharks are, but nothing else does! Make matters worse in this scene, the shark starts swimming around and chases LL Cool J, and so instead of hitting the shark with the frying pan, LL Cool J decides to hide in an oven. And what does the shark do? The shark headbutts the oven! LL Cool J goes up and escapes the oven, and the shark fries.
You ate my bird.
I fucking love this movie. This is the perfect quintessential 90s action movie. This is a 90s action movie. This is not a horror movie. I don't know why I was so afraid of that VHS cover and this Blu-ray cover, which is the exact same cover as the VHS, when I was little. If I had known that this movie was this stupid when I was little, I would have watched it when I was little. The thing is, they market this movie as a horror movie, and it's not a horror movie. It's an action movie with sharks that are genetically enhanced, which, hold on. I just gotta say something. So, if you have a team of scientists that are genetically modifying sharks, I meant to say this before, but I'm saying it now. If you have a team of scientists that's genetically enhancing sharks, they're doing experiments on sharks, you're wrangling sharks together.
Why don't these frickin' sharks have frickin' laser beams attached to their frickin' heads? Dr. Evil would be ashamed. So the group of scientists has to figure out a way to get out of this water rig. Samuel L. Jackson is in there with them. They've already lost Stellan Skarsgård. They have no idea about LL Cool J. They're all just trying to escape. And it's right here where we are gifted with the greatest death scene in cinema history. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the bite.
Nature can be lethal, but it doesn't hold a candle to man. Now you've seen how bad things can get and how quick they can get that way. Well, they can get a whole lot worse. So we're not going to fight anymore. We're going to pull together and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this movie.
It's so funny because they play it up to be something that's so unexpected. There's a few things here. In the close-up of Samuel L. Jackson, you see the shark in the background. Right when it pops up in that background, it immediately cuts to a wide shot of Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten. So because you can see the shark in the background, it doesn't make it that suspenseful, intense, or unexpected at all. It just comes across as fucking hilarious. And the fact that he dies mid-speech makes it all the more better, which is why this is one of the best death scenes in cinematic history. The best death scene. Not only is he giving a speech, he's giving a super serious speech to rally the troops together. Deep Blue Sea is everything I dream about in my dreams! This is awesome! So eventually we cut back to LL Cool J again. He's walking through a hallway, trying to figure out, like, he's given this heartfelt speech. All of a sudden, it turns into a heartfelt speech about brunch and, like, eggs and omelets. What does this have to do with anything? I have no idea. The writers were on crack when they wrote this, but I'm glad they were, because I fucking love this movie. We're coming up on the big finale of the movie, and Saffron Burrows, who is definitely the main character of the movie, despite what the ending will eventually tell you, she's the main character of the movie. Not just because she's on the VHS cover, or the poster, or the Blu-ray cover, and not just because she's the first person we're introduced to. She gets top billing. She's the one character that, even though her research makes no sense, she's got clear motivation, she's probably the one you care about the most. She's definitely the main character of the movie, despite what the movie will later tell you. They do this whole sequence where she strips out of her water suit because we have to show her in her undies for all the middle-aged men who are dreaming about all the women in this movie and what they look like without any clothes on. Just saying. Her whole plan here is that she knows that there's a few sharks loose. So her whole thing is that she's gonna try and electrocute a shark. She succeeds, but the funniest part is the fact that when she electrocutes the sharks, it takes like 1,000 electricity volts to kill that thing. That thing takes forever to die. We cut back to LL Cool J saying his prayers. Now a shark comes chomping at him. Shark is trying to kill him. You know what LL Cool J does in this scene? He takes his crucifix necklace and starts stabbing the shark! This movie! Oh my god! And then he finally has the balls to stab it in the eye, but like, he stabs it with a necklace! Like that was going to do anything in the first place! He finally learned that he had to stab it in the eye and... the shark lets him go. It's like that Dane Cook joke from early in his career, where he was, I forget exactly what he was talking about, but he was talking about something where it was like this guy got bitten by a shark, and the reporter was like, well, how'd you escape? And the guy says, I punched it, and it let me go. This sequence is very similar. This is exactly what I pictured Dane Cook is talking about. I put in my notes, so basically, LL Cool J is this movie's unsung hero.
That is true. And it's here that we learn that the sharks intentionally use the humans to intentionally flood the Aquatica facility. But I thought that there was an incoming storm, and from what we know so far, the storm flooded the facility, not the sharks. What? So we're coming up on our big, gigantic finale, and there's one shark left. It is down to Saffron, Burrows, and Thomas Jane. Michael Rappaport is dead. He actually has the best death scene in the entire movie, I'll say that. LL Cool J is the one survivor of the others who is not a researcher. He is the one survivor who is not a researcher. It's him, Thomas Jane, and Saffron Burrows. So they come up with this plan to kill the shark. As I said before, Saffron Burrows has been built up to this whole point in the movie, to this specific point, as the main character. The main character then shifts to being Thomas Jane, which makes no sense because A, I don't give a shit about him. 2, the whole movie was focused on Saffron Burrows putting this whole team together to cure Alzheimer's. She was the leader of this thing. She was in almost every sequence that didn't involve LL Cool J. She's in this entire movie. If she was just a side character, she would have been the leader of the team, but been there every once in a while, you know. She wouldn't have been with Thomas Jane this whole time, so she decides to sacrifice herself to lure the shark away so that Thomas Jane can then kill the shark. So she sacrifices herself, and now all of a sudden Thomas Jane is like the main character for like 5 minutes. I don't get it. So when Thomas Jane tries to shoot the shark, he misses, and the shark is coming for him, but hey, LL Cool J to the rescue! LL Cool J shoots the shark dies. LL Cool J and Thomas Jane survive, and LL Cool J says this awesome line.
Carter! Hey! Bring me some sushi!
Man, Deep Blue Sea. So I have in my notes, I have to read this from my notes. So there's one thing this movie teaches us. LL Cool J needs to cook brunch while conducting a sermon in a church full of people. That would be awesome. And so then the end credits roll, and we have an LL Cool J rap song that is called Deepest Bluest. That just explains the entire plot of the movie. And that is Deep Blue Sea for you fellas. Deep Blue Sea was a movie I was traumatized by when I was little, despite never having seen it. But now that I have seen it, now that I am much older, about 2 or 3 times now, it is the quintessential action movie of the 90s. It is not a horror movie, despite what everybody's gonna tell you. It is an action movie, and it is cheesy as hell, and I love it. That is my roast of Deep Blue Sea. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Stay tuned for more content coming very soon. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.